Hello, everyone. Welcome back to MMA UK. I'm here with Ashley the Beast Reece, who is scheduled for UFL 3 in Arizona, August 12th. Joins me today, one day before his very long flight to America to do an interview with us. So appreciate that, Ashley, and cheers for being here, mate.
Cheers, thanks.
So straight back in there then. Obviously, the last one in between your last fight and the previous fight, there's quite a long layoff. Obviously, much quicker turnaround this time. Grand Prix setting, it's nice to have a good turnaround. A lot of fighters, seem to get a kick out of doing that. So just to cover, obviously, your opponent, Jokhar Duraev. Do you know much about him?
No, he's just a well-rounded guy, well-rounded Russian, basically. So I expect everything at this level now, especially at UFL, the lads that they're putting that welterweight tournament. Anyone can do anything to anyone at any time.
No.
For 15 minutes, or they can knock you out. So I'm expecting everyone to be well-rounded. Most of the lads in the bracket are. There's not really any specialists anymore. I think MMA is getting to the point where if you're not well-rounded, you're going to get found out fairly quickly.
Yeah, no, 100%, and it is a stacked tournament. Multiple names that even I recognised on it on the tournament. Obviously, you've got yourself in there. You've got obviously Costello, who you just fought, who's probably the biggest welterweight I've ever seen in my own two eyes. The guy's absolutely massive. I saw the face-off with Duraev after that fight. Obviously, very respectful, seen a little handshake. I noticed that you've said before that you two met in the hotel.
Yeah, I met in the hotel in the fight week when I was meant to fight. When I fought Costello, I just said to him, "You're in the same tournament as me," and he didn't really understand. His friend translated, and then once he understood what I said, then it's just banter basically. And that was it. Then see him, we sort of have a nod and a wink and a laugh. That's what it's like for fighters in your bracket.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Obviously, I've checked his Instagram out. He has got limited footage to him. Obviously, he's been out a few years as well, similar to yourself in your last bout. But what I did see on his Instagram is he's training at the PI with Manel Cap, obviously Albert Duraev himself. Being like I feel like this year and maybe in the last few years, British MMA is kind of getting a bit more of a push to like the casual fan. Obviously, you've got people like Leon Edwards, you've got Tom Aspinall, and you've even got fighters on even in places like Cage Warriors. You see them getting a bit more of a bigger following than maybe they would have 5 years ago. Obviously, as somebody that trains at a couple of different gyms, sees all these kind of new generation of young British fighters coming up. How promising is the future of British MMA in your opinion? Seeing these little kids do crazy techniques that 20 years ago were unheard of.
The future is very promising. I mean, some of the kids now are at a level that I'd be very, very happy with as a high-level amateur. And some of these haven't even fought yet. So in a few years, it's going to be ridiculous. I mean, some amateurs in my gym are doing things that I've only just started doing as a pro now. So it's promising, man.
No, I understand that. I'm based out of Loughborough, and although I don't train there, I do use the normal gym at HW1, which is Dan Hardy and Jimmy Warled. And I've been upstairs in the MMA classes and sort of popped my head in and seeing the kids classes and the Imanari rolling on each other, a bunch of 7-year-olds. It's crazy to see. It makes me happy as a fan of the sport that it's becoming a bit more mainstream, even for the the younger generation.
Yeah, definitely. It's very good and very promising, and hopefully the old school, as they say, we can help the new school out and make them fulfill their potential.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Obviously, you said yourself, well-rounded fighter in Duraev. Obviously, like I said, there's limited footage available for him, and his surname would tell you a lot on its own. Is there any area, I guess, where you think you may surprise him, where you think maybe a certain skill set that you think that every fight that you go in, that you've always got that in the back pocket that maybe other fighters might not have?
Me personally, I think a lot of people think I'm undersized for a while. They don't think I'm going to be nowhere near as strong as I am, or they think you're just going to push me and I'm going to fall over, basically. And a lot of the time, get a minute in the fight and you can see him start getting tired. So
Yeah.
hopefully, see what happens. And if he doesn't get tired, then it is what it is. Then I'll play my game.
Yeah. No.
As a fact, anyone that gets tired in the fight with me, that's a bad idea. If you get tired with me, then that's it.
Yeah. Well, in your last bout, the commentary was heavily praising the conditioning, and obviously you said yourself, you're ex, well, not even ex, current long distance runner. I know you're still participating in the ultras here and there and stuff. When you're not in camp, you're running and you're doing other things. I have to ask you, a big Goggins fan. Have you ever had to tape your feet up to finish a run?
No, not to make my feet up, but I probably listen to Goggins every day. He's someone that I like as a person, so motivates me, and I listen to him every day.
Yeah. No, I'm not surprised. It's I slept on his book for ages. Can't Hurt Me. I only actually got around to reading it this year. Obviously, I'd been listening to podcasts and stuff, but the book is incredible. The some of the stories in there. I mean, the accountability mirror, all the little things that he talks about. Even somebody who doesn't really train or anything, can take the stuff from that book. And yeah, he's an incredible guy. So very inspirational person. I'm not surprised. Yeah,
almost everyone. So it just depends on how you perceive it. If you want it to reach you, and you want to take something from it, then do that. But it's up to you.
Yeah, no, of course. We'll quickly just cover the last fight. Obviously, as part of the tournament. So you went head to head with Costello, like I said, massive for the division. I'm sure you've probably been asked this a few times, so I apologize, but just with the few years out that you had, did you feel any ring rust? Did you feel anything different?
No, there's no ring rust. Thing is, I had 4 years out, but that was through things that were uncontrollable. Like I was out because of COVID. And
of course.
That's what completely tore my MCL and twined my ACL, so that was a long road to recovery. But in that time, it gave me a lot of time to work on stuff that I wanted to work on. But when you're in constant training camps like 2019, 93 fights, so when you're in camp for the full year, you're always prepping for the next leg. You can't really, you can, but it's harder to have a real amount of time to improve your skill set. You're more just, camps are meant to be for that specific person, or you're sharpening. Whereas when you haven't got a camp, then you can really focus on what you need to work on. And in that 3 years, I've really focused on what I need to work on. I've not shown everything yet that I've worked on, but with the right opponents and the right opportunities, I will.
Yeah, of course. And talking about the right opponents, obviously the other two fighters in the fighting, on the card, they're potentially your next opponent. You've got, I'm going to absolutely butcher his name, but Nikolai Veretennikov, I believe, and Louis Singoy. Apologies if I've butchered that, Nikolai. But Nikolai is one of the names that stood out straight away to me because he came very close to fighting for the UFC. He lost against Michael Moraes, not Marlon Moraes, Michael Moraes, who obviously has gone on and has a pretty good run so far in the UFC. Just beat Max Griffin, obviously beat Trevin Giles. That's you could argue that a lot of the fights in this division's Grand Prix, in the welterweight Grand Prix, I mean, they're all, you've got guys that are essentially 1 or 2 fights away, even yourself, from getting that offer from the bigger major promotions. Obviously, you've been there yourself previously, but do you have any thoughts about the other 2 guys that are fighting on the card, or are you worrying about that after Jokhar?
No, not really. As you said, the quality of the lads is pretty much the same. I focus on the individuals. Whoever gets put my way, and I'll do my best to get rid of them. Whoever's in that tournament wins that side of the bracket, and I'll deal with them after. I need to deal with Jokhar Duraev first, and all my focus is on him at the moment. So,
of course, no, understandable. And just as a from like an outside perspective, like just genuinely asking, your thoughts on this. The UFL, I've heard very high praises on it. Obviously, they're doing things that are kind of unheard of in a lot of the MMA promotions, like the healthcare and things like that. Can you just speak about, you've obviously been around multiple promotions. You've experienced different hospitalities. You've been to different countries. So what is the difference fighting for UFL versus some of the other promotions in the past?
It's a little tiny things like the healthcare and the share stuff like that, and then like they really work with you. So with some of the other promotions, they're elite in what they're doing, everything like hospitality, everything is amazing, but they've got that many fighters that they can't deal with as an individual. Even though UFL have got loads of fighters now, they still deal with everyone as an individual. You feel like you've got, hey, look at me, they notice you. Whereas some of the other promotions, unless you do something spectacular, then they're not really going to notice you. You could be on the 10-fight win streak and no one will even really know who you are. It just depends. But with UFL, they really make an effort to work with their fighters, and it seems starting to show now. The new third show, the last show is 200,000 views, and that's a big for a promotion with two cards. I expect this next one to be even bigger.
Yeah, no, the production's on point as well. Even the little promos they put out for you and Duraev, the little YouTube shorts, it's all really important, today. And covering all that, like the production aspect, I think is one of the best things about UFL. Watching, when I sat down and watched through the fights, I was like, this is as good as it gets. This is just like anything else that you'd watch on ESPN or whatever else it may be. So, it's definitely aesthetically pleasing to the eyes. The production, they've got it on point. The social media is all on point. So yeah, I'm excited to see the future, and I'm excited to see if you stick around in this promotion, you could essentially be the face of that welterweight division, and make moves for the UK and the UFL.
Thing is, there's so many fights in this welterweight division for you. So there's so many fights I could have. Like, I've not even fought the lads on the other side of the bracket. Some of the lads that lost, they're still decent fights.
Yeah.
Carlos, and there's another lad as well that fought in UFL one. I think he's UFC vet as well. He wasn't even in the bracket, but that's another fight. So in there's another 5 or 6 fights I could have already. I'm happy with UFL because they're testing me and they're treating me well. So after this fight, I'll be running back and getting another fight booked as soon as this fight's over. If I'm in the tournament, I'm still in the tournament. Then I'll be on to the next round. If I'm not, I'm booking another fight. It's December or it's March. I want to stay active now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's it's nice to see, like you say, big views on the last one. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, the UFL being like you say, it's got people like Frank Mir, Rampage Jackson. It's a very fan friendly off the bat. A lot of MMA promotions, for the first few cards, you can't find them anywhere. You got to find them on YouTube and they've got 13 views, or you got to find them on some weird Facebook page. The UFL is accessible. You've got people like I said, Frank Mir. The commentary, the post-fight interview, it all seems ready to go from the very first card. So, I think maybe in a few years, we'll be looking back at the, like this one coming up in Arizona, and a humble beginning, so to speak. I think UFL is destined for some big things, man.
Yeah, I agree. Just got to wait now and let it run its course, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah. So obviously, get this one in the bag. Move on. You got the final. Obviously, if you win the Grand Prix, what do you see going forward? I know, obviously, I've heard you speak about, as we've just covered UFL, you're very happy at UFL. Are you happy to sort of dig your feet in the sand at UFL and see a whole career there? Maybe going on to defend the belt and happy retirement in many years to come at UFL.
Yeah, there's fights there that I want. There's a few fights that I want, and I want to test myself from all of the division. I want to be a person that said, "Oh, actually, one of the guys that will fight a lot of the guys in the division." I want to be, let's tick that person. I'm not for that person yet. Let's fight this person. I don't want to be a 1 or 2 fighter for the promotion. I where's he gone? He's gone somewhere else. I don't want to do that. I want to be a mainstay, and I want to get the most out of it. With the shares, it sort of encourages you to invest in yourself, which is a real refreshing, makes a change for once. Some of the other promotions should take note and sort of not copy UFL, but sort of go along the lines of there, because they're sort of making headway compared to everyone else.
Yeah. No, I'd say they should copy UFL. That reading about the healthcare thing, I was like, I had to double check when I heard you say it. I was like, healthcare, and I like, it's crazy. They are making waves. They're doing things that, and I know obviously UFC's got the monopoly and stuff like that, but you do see a lot of, you know, things are coming. You know, it isn't really going to be like this in 10 years. It seems, you know, you've got, you know, big moves, PFL and Bellator, maybe acquiring Bellator, and obviously you've got one doing the 4-ounce Muay Thai fights. You know, it's the world of combat sports is it's expanding, and to see a company like UFL kind of put foot forward and say, right, this is what, you know, we're going to innovate here, the healthcare and the shares as well. Yeah, I agree. It is literally like investing in yourself, isn't it? Grow the promotion, grow your own brand, and grow your own, you know, your own livelihood and career from that.
Yeah, definitely. With MMA, we're a bit behind in terms of sport and other things. Like the first thing that annoys me the most is like cross promotion. Why can't you have cross promotion? I want to see the UFC champion fight the UFC champion, or the Bellator champion fight the reason in Bellator do it. But other than that, no one really does it. Why not?
Yeah.
Why people that fixed of having their set roster of fighters? If you have a fighter who can cross promotion, then you've got an infinite amount of fighters. You can always find a fight. You can fill your cards dead easy then. Sometimes, like, you might have like 2 or 3 lads that are in the same what's it called, class, that are top contenders. That kills a promotion. Yeah, you've got in UFC and some promotions like Aljamain Sterling, Dash Philly. They're in the same from the same gym. So
you ain't got to trust me. It's crazy, isn't it? Preaching to the choir here, mate. It's insane. You know, that situation's even the cross promotion thing, like you say, you know, Bellator Rise and do it. You've seen even the one when one put the Mighty Mouse and Rodtang fight on. You go check that on YouTube. It was massive. There's massive numbers. Everyone, you know, people that had never watched a one event in their life went over to watch that, and that's what the cross promotion brings. You know, it gets those people that maybe only pay attention to the UFC or pay attention to Bellator or pay attention to you know, over in Asia with one and the Muay Thai fights. It gets them over here. You know, some of those Muay Thai stars like Super Leg, people like that, they're massive. They're huge over there. You know, do wonders for the UFC. So I completely agree with you there.
This answers questions that need answering. People are asking these questions, and to promote promotions, listen to what people are asking for and answer them questions, and they'll get a lot bigger. And some of them sort of ignore them. And you don't need to do that. That's why I'll be honest. That's why a lot of stuff like the celebrity boxing, as bad as some of the fights are, you answer questions. So what would this person be like doing the fight person? And people say they don't want to see it, but people still tune in and watch it because you're asking the question: is asking, can that person fight? I want to see them. So
yeah, no, 100%. You know, sometimes, you know, these influencer boxing cards and stuff like that, when there's a big fight like the one that's just happened over the weekend with Jake Paul and Nate Diaz, obviously the UFC is going on at the same time, and sometimes I've got the UFC on the TV and I'm watching a little Jake Paul fight on my phone, and I'm like, the Jake Paul fight's more entertaining than what's on the TV. You know what I mean? It's some of these fights are entertaining. They're good scraps at this point. You know, we're a few years into that weird little game, and you know, some people are like Le'Veon Bell, the NFL star. He's got a good pair of hands on him. You know, he's been doing all right.
Yeah, it's good, man.
Yeah,
good for the sport.
It is. It is. It's good for the kids as well. You know, all the YouTubers getting into boxing. Like, I can't imagine the amount of people that all them YouTubers have brought to the sport of boxing. You know, just these, you know, little content creators that maybe dream of being on these misfits boxing cards and whatnot. You know, it's a completely new career path that's been opened in a few years, and you know, you never know if it's going to die out or not. But in 20 years, you could be looking back at this thinking, bloody hell, you know, it's started a whole new generation of combat sports.
Combat sports is still combat sports. I like it. That's it should be for everyone.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to be Lomachenko. Not. It's give them an opportunity. So it gives everyone an opportunity to fight for their, say, world title, their world-class fight. It gives them a chance to do something. Not, as I said, not everyone's going to be elite, so let's give other people a chance as well. Everyone deserves a chance as well to do their own little bit. So it's good.
Yeah, no, of course, completely agree. It also gets some fighters some big paychecks, you know, some retired fighters, like obviously Vitor fought on one of them cards a couple of years ago. You got Anderson Silva, obviously, I can't imagine how much money he made from those couple of fights, and he made a good account for himself as well before the Jake fight, you know, beating Chavez Jr. and stuff like that. So it's nice to see. You know, if we didn't have those fights, that would have been the last we'd seen from Anderson Silva, you know. So in that aspect, you know, I completely agree. You know, it's combat sports. It shouldn't be oh well, this guy doesn't act a certain way, or he's a bit this or whatever. You know, he makes vlogs on YouTube. It's, you know, it's a 20 years. We're going 20 years back with the stereotypes. You know, not every MMA fighter has to be a just bleed, you know, tap out t-shirt, Monster Energy in the hand.
I agree with
that. Yeah, so just a couple quick ones, and then I'll let you get going. But just wanted to ask you about your gym situation, because obviously I've heard you speak about it before, but just for the people that maybe haven't heard you speak about it before, where do you train at?
I train out of two gyms. I train out of Hammer, which is based in St Helens in Liverpool, and I live in Stoke-on-Trent. I train out of a gym called Stoke Combat Academy. I'm one of the coaches there, but I'm coached by someone else, my striking coach called Jack Willis. He coaches me and he's a head coach there, so I'm based my time either at Hammer or there.
Yeah,
at the moment, that's my main stay at the moment. They're the two places that I go. I've got individual things, but they're the two main gyms that I'm at most of the time.
Okay, and in Stoke, is it a bit more of a striking gym, and then Hammer's a bit more of a, how does it work?
Stoke Combat is got a lot of lads that do a lot of striking, loads of K1 and stuff, a few that box. Not got that many MMA fighters, but in a few years' time we will. You just got to take your time. MMA is that fast evolving. You need to be quite well rounded, and you need to be at a decent level.
Yeah.
At everything. And that's our base at the moment, striking. So when the lads are proficient at what they're doing striking wise, and they can move on to other things. We've got some really good coaches at Stoke Combat, both in grappling and striking. But it's just taking your time, and when the time's right, then some of these lads will represent.
Yeah, no, of course. And obviously being somebody that from the jump went straight into MMA, obviously you say Stoke Combat, you got some strike. Hammer's a proper MMA gym, isn't it? It's like an MMA, everyone's an MMA fight. Yeah. Okay, so
mate, I come from, before I went to Hammer, I was trained by Aussie Haddock in Manchester.
Right, okay.
That was an MMA gym, so I had most of my amateur, all of my amateur career there, and then Aussie passed me on to Sean. So it's literally like I've grown up in MMA with Aussie. I had all my amateur career, and then the second 2 fights in the pro, my third fight, I moved over to Sean. So yeah. I was based in Stoke before then. I was based in Manchester with Aussie Haddock.
Oh, okay. No, I understand. Are you so with being somebody that went straight into MMA and you know didn't come from any sort of, you know, boxing discipline or anything like that. I remember you know, years ago when Rory McDonald was coming up, that was almost a big thing that people were saying about him. You know, this guy went straight in as a kid into mixed martial arts training. You know, he didn't spend years developing bad habits in another discipline or whatnot. Obviously, most of the fighters these days still come from that discipline, but as time goes on, you do find fighters like yourself that started with MMA, you know, that were a fan of MMA and went straight into it. What benefits, if any, really? What? So obviously you've got the running in the back pocket, but to go straight into MMA, you know, and then become this athlete that you have and get this record that you have, the finishes that you have, do you think it's been to your benefit going straight into mixed martial arts with no former combat sports?
Yeah, because the transitions, you're always doing the transitions. Because if you come from for example, you come from a boxing background, you might box in a very wide stance, so immediately someone's going to smash your leg to pieces because you're standing heavy on one leg. So with that'll take time for you to adjust and adjust your stance and everything. Everything's different compared to MMA. A lot of stuff's different. Even like from individual sports, you come from a jiu-jitsu background. The grappling for jiu-jitsu is different grappling to MMA. So it's one of them. It takes a while for you to get used to stuff, and you need the right coaches that will give you the right thing. Sometimes it's more stripping things off, taking things away, and simpling your game up than it is adding things on. So
yeah, of course. And like you said at the beginning of the interview, you know, the age of the specialist, so to speak, is slowly dying out. You know, you've got, you know, everyone's getting pretty well rounded as time goes on, and you know that you do see you know, some specialists in the game still hanging about, but I completely agree. You know, fighters like Volkanovski, for example, people hailing him as pound for pound #1. I'd say one of his best assets is how well-rounded he is. You know, everything he throws is how he should throw it. His grappling's on point. So yeah, completely agree with that.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. Just
And
old habits, yeah, take a while to get out. Especially with people that are the specialists, it might take them a bit longer than somebody who's raw, because they're raw, but they don't really know what they're doing. So it's easier to coach them.
Yeah, no, 100%. Obviously, I heard that you say that you weren't based in Stoke then. You were based in Manchester, talking about when you was previously training. Are you from Stoke? Like, if you had to say where you're from, you from Stoke?
No, I was born in London. Born in Newham in London. I was up until the age of 20. I was raised in Dagenham in Essex, and then I moved to Manchester with Dad. And then that's that transition. And then I was with Ozzy, and then I was with Sean. So that's actually been my career. My MMA career has been based in either Manchester or at Hammer.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And just one final one then, just you know, to get you know, a good solid UK welterweight prospect's opinion on the big fight coming up. Obviously, you've got Colby and Leon for the belt. How do you sort of see that fight going?
I think Leon's going to clip him.
Yeah.
With Colby's style, it's aggressive. Don't get me wrong, he's really good. He's a really good grappler, but Leon's some person that's everything's textbook with him, and sometimes you don't even have to make a mistake with him. He'll catch you with stuff. So he's caught Usman with it, and I can see him catching Colby. Usman had this, I'd say maybe an upper hand in striking with Colby, but Leon's striking is completely different to Usman. He's a lot more crisper. So
yeah,
I can see him catching and putting him away. So we'll see, man.
No, I agree. All behind Leon, of course. Wish him the best. Last one then, and I'll let you get going. If you had to sort of rank these three things in order of importance to a fighter's career, first one being fitness / conditioning. The second one being ability, you know, technique, things like that, what you can physically do. And the third being fight IQ, your decision making in the moment. How would you rank them?
Fitness. Fitness is first. If it's like a car, if you haven't got petrol, you're not going to do it. So you need an engine to run what you're doing. The next one I would say is the ability. I think that to a degree you can coach fight IQ. Obviously, some people have got higher fight IQ than others. Some people have just naturally got a very good fight IQ, but it can be coached. It depends on the coach you're with. If your coach has got a very high fight IQ, then they can coach you that way. So there's still things I can't pick up, and I go to other coaches and their IQs are a lot higher than mine. But it can either be detrimental or it can't be. Some people got very low IQs, but they're very successful. It just depends on the person, depends on how you use. So
yeah, no, fair enough. And would you say fight IQ is developed? Let's say somebody goes into the gym for the first time, they've been an MMA fan, you know, for 15 years or whatnot. Would you say would you say fight IQ is almost developed from watching fights, watching, you know, being in there, so to speak?
Both. It can be that watching it, yeah, but at the same time, watching and training is completely different. Some people have got a good perception of what they should be doing in the gym, and then they get to the gym and it's completely different. Other lads that I've coached and they've said, "Oh, I've seen this." I was like, "Well, you can't do level 1 thing."
Yeah.
And then you're level 1 now. Like I've seen this double leg into, I don't know, like to me, just shot a double leg into an armbar. Like you can't do a double leg there. Just focus on that. It's got to be relevant to your ability level. So,
of course. No, of course. You know, you got to run before you walk before you can run and all that stuff. But yeah, no, really appreciate it, mate. Obviously, we're all behind you here. Wish you the best of luck on August 12th when you go to Arizona. I'm sure it's going to be very, very, very warm there. So, you know, better to go there than stay in this terrible summer that we're having over here.
Yeah, good, man. Memphis is quite warm. Anyway, Memphis is 35, so it's a lot warmer than 35. I think it's about 50 at the moment. But yeah, overall, it'll be a feel like I'm on holiday until after that. So
Yeah,
good,
yeah. Have you got time to hang about after the fight, or you got to shoot straight back?
Fly back on Sunday morning.
Well, even so, you know, I'm sure. I hope you enjoy the state, mate, and obviously best of luck with your fight. UFL 3, August 12th. Ashley the Beast Reece, thank you very much for joining me, pal.
Mate, thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.